Hi everybody. Um, Today's been an interesting day. I haven't started my new group therapy. I'm going to be going to an old one that I was already in this coming Wednesday. And I haven't heard yet about who's going to be my new therapist with the transgender. Well, with the mood disorder clinic, because I'm being switched over to the base clinic, which is all in the same office. And I don't know who my new therapist will be yet. So as soon as I find out, I will let everybody know. Okay? Okay. Um, Today was an interesting day. Within a good 10-minute span, I had thoughts, thought of nothing. I didn't feel anything I couldn't, I just felt absolutely nothing. Then I had angry, I was getting a little upset and mad, and then also I was ending up crying, almost. I was starting to well up some tears. So, yeah, today's been kind of an interesting day, just in less than about 10-15 minute span. And I'm not too happy with that. But I have to learn how to control my emotions and everything. And hopefully, if all goes well, I'll be starting dialectic behavioral therapy. Otherwise, it was suggested doing schema therapy. But we'll see what happens yet. Now, that's pretty much all, except for the fact I've been sleeping all day. I think my depression's still to the point where I don't feel like getting up or doing anything, or just everything in general. Just don't feel like. I just been feeling empty. At points sometimes it just seems hopeless and helpless. I feel, because right now I do feel kind of helpless because feel like I'm not doing enough to help my wife. I feel like I just feel like I'm hurting her, and yet I want her to stay. So it's like Love Me, Don't Leave Me, the title of a book that you can look for on Amazon.com. I recommend it. And as soon as I remember the names of some other books by some other YouTubers on here that deal with borderline personality disorder or have dealt with, I will pass that on to everybody that views my channel. Otherwise, great. Starting to well up some tears a bit again. I'm trying to watch for all the triggers and buttons that I have, but I'm still just learning everything about the borderline personality disorder. I'm slowly starting to accept that I have it, but the only problem is I got to deal with is just the stigma that's attached to it. And I wish that the stigma that was attached to borderline personality disorder would be wiped out, would be gone, because the stigma says that we are manipulating people, so on and so forth, that really I don't like, because I know I'm not manipulating people. I might be manipulative at times, but I'm not manipulating people deliberately or anything. I have, and in the past, hurt people with trying to push them away, trying to be combative, trying to be argumentative. And I have also have perceived things differently, than most people. Like when somebody says something, um, and I don't know for sure if I'm doing this, but my wife could probably attest to that, that I am twisting words around that people say. So I'm struggling, I'm trying, but it's an everyday battle, and I'm just trying to figure everything out, because on the 4th of July, I ended up with having an episode of a memory flashback where my wife was in the hospital at the time from a surgery, and I watched the fireworks outside through the window with a couple of the nurses on the floor, and then afterward I went back to my wife's room, and I was trying to watch them out through the window from her room in other directions, and I decided not to, decided to stop and watch. And then all of a sudden I'm kneeling on the couch that's also my bed at the room, and I just started having fear, uncontrollable fear, and then a flashback of somebody well, I think I described that already, but it was so bad I had to go out in the hallway, and I literally just sat down, wrapped my arms around my legs, and just was shaking, severely upset, and scared of anybody that came by, or even when I heard a man's voice, it just sent that fear up in me again, and I just couldn't handle it to where I couldn't sleep the whole night that happened, and I haven't been able to forget that flash of memory at all. And then August, on the 3rd, I ended up having a complete breakdown, suicidal ideations and self-harm. I don't know if you can see it, but that arm, I've got scars. That arm, I got scars on them. And then recently, I put a couple of marks up here on my arm, on my upper arm, because of I just felt nothing, emptiness, and I just couldn't handle the emotions, and I just couldn't handle all of that. And so I ended up being in for 2 weeks in psychiatric ward, and in those 2 weeks I had multiple episodes still. My emotions were out of control, and on the second week that I was in there, I was starting to get better, starting to be more positive, and by the end of the second week, I was ready to come home, no problem, and I've been home since. But then, due to staffing issues, this will probably make you mad as well, but due to some staffing issues, at the time, I ended up going back into the hospital the weekend after, because there was so much pressure on me, and I wasn't quite ready for all the pressure, and dealing with my emotions as well. And well, I ended up going back in because I was at my therapist's office, and I was at the point of self-harm and some suicidal thoughts, and he called an ambulance, and they took me into the emergency room. And after being in there for a while, I started getting a little bit better, but I still felt empty. But I was getting a little bit better, and well, I did get sent home because I wasn't bad enough to be admitted into the hospital. Ever since then, I dealt with a little self-harm with my upper arm and on my shoulder. I dug into myself again with my nails. All sharp objects are hidden away from me, as I think I mentioned in the last video. And that's about it. And I'm just fighting every day, best I can, trying to recognize things. I really am hoping I get into my new therapist soon, and I would love to start DBT therapy, because I think that'll be the most useful and the most helpful for me. So, I love everybody. Bye.